The regional security agenda is now dominated by Iran. And as is often the case with Iran, we are asking ourselves whether or not the regime is in real danger or not. The wave of riots that we've seen now over the past month have been unusual in their geographic distribution. They're happening throughout Iran, in all Iran's provinces, and in the tone of the demands of the protesters, which are not limited to particular causes such as the economy or indeed to elections and electoral procedure, which we saw in previous protests. But they're focused on the regime itself and on the past of the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. So that does make them slightly different. However, what we're also seeing is the classically strong response from the regime. It's gone for both a physical and a virtual clamp down on the protesters, denying them the oxygen and denying them also the means of mobilization. Whereas the regime is very unsettled by this, and I would note it's unsettled by the demography of it. It realizes that it has lost its legitimacy, or is in danger of losing its legitimacy appeal to Iranians under 30. It won't yet feel as though this is the end game. It has immense experience in dealing with internal dissent. Its security, intelligence, law enforcement agencies are geared primarily towards the suppression of dissent under the mission of protecting the revolution. And they would feel that they are able to deal with this. I think what's particularly interesting about these protests is it is a rehearsal and a foretaste of how eventually the regime will go. This is not a regime that has very much negotiating room. The Islamic revolution relies upon a structure of bodies and organizations which have to hang together, otherwise the whole system will crumble. So there's no room, for example, on electoral processes. There's no room really for negotiation over the primacy or the conduct of the security and intelligence services. There may, however, be a little bit of room for negotiation over the social demands, particularly over women's headdresses and the freedoms enjoyed by women in public spaces and assembly. It's possible that some concessions may be made there. It will, however, be reflecting on how it passes the torch of the revolution on to the next generation, who seem, on the basis of these protests, to have ever decreasing interest in perpetuating the Islamic regime. And that is a deep-seated problem, which even if the regime succeeds in containing these protests, it will at some point have to address. And of course, everyone in Iran is mindful that Ayatollah Khamenei has not been well. He is old, and when he finally dies, there will be a transition which could be traumatic for Iran.